Hello again. My video on the Nintendo 64's flaws did quite well, which resulted in some very angry commenters criticizing a few parts of it. Some of their criticisms were reasonable, others were not. This is an addendum to the original video where I'll go through some of the things I didn't mention and some things that I missed out on. So, the video itself was supposed to be criticizing the flaws of the system, not also talking about its good sides, as the Nintendo 64 is actually pretty powerful, as one of the commenters pointed out. The CPU and GPU were in a $200 box, which was competing against computers that costed over $1,500. The CPU itself was comparable to a Pentium 150MHz, which cost around $1,000 MSRP in 1996 when the Nintendo 64 came out. The CPU and GPU were absolutely great choices, as you can see in this one video by Kaza. However, the problem is the memory. Here you can see the console can render 10,000 triangles at around 30 FPS. However, here it struggles to render 10 overlapping triangles due to the memory issues the console has with its low RDRAM. It is genuinely like if you took a 13600K, 4070 Ti, and 32GB of RAM, sold it for $300, but then slapped DDR2 memory with GDDR6 latency onto it. It's just sad how this extremely powerful hardware is being bogged down by a shitty memory setup. Another criticism that I definitely missed out on is mentioning how the cartridges, while still slow, were on par or sometimes faster than computer hard drives from the time period. More importantly, they had around 5MB of bandwidth, while the 2X CD readers in the PS1 and Saturn had 0.3 megabits per second of bandwidth, a 16.6 times improvement, which I didn't clarify in the video and instead called it a minor thing. You see, the reason why I did that is because the main benefit the consoles like the NES had is that you could read code directly from the cartridge without needing to first load it into RAM. The Nintendo 64 cannot do this, and because of that, the only real benefit from the cartridges are the vastly decreased loading times. However, even though the loading times are now a lot faster, and asset streaming is a lot easier if you want to make a larger world, the 10 to 160 times less cartridge space and the inability to do things like stream music from the disc, natively decode FMVs, and have multi-disc games, as multi-disc cartridge games would be prohibitively expensive, were all significant downsides that did not make up for this one upside. If we ignored all the other issues I mentioned, and we either just swapped the RDRAM out for SDRAM, or used CDs instead of cartridges, both of these things would have made the Nintendo 64 absolutely dominate the console market. With SDRAM, the console would have been so much more powerful than the PlayStation 1 or Saturn that it would truly look next-gen. Still nowhere near something like the Dreamcast or any other 6th-gen console, but considering it could render something like 10,000 polygons at 30 FPS without any culling if the memory wasn't shitting itself, while the peak of the PlayStation 1 seemed to be around 4,000 polygons in a 30 FPS game, although without the Z-buffer, perspective correct mapping, floating point units, or anything else that made the PlayStation 1 graphics look more stable. And that's about it. I'm not going to mention any of the comments here that were particularly incorrect, as I don't think it's fair to take a random commenter's comment that they probably wrote off of what they just loosely remember from playing games years ago, and then debunk it like if I was debunking a professional article or something. I'm not a video essayist. Now, if you'd excuse me, I have the 5,000 word Saturn thing still going on. I can't work on it much right now, but I'm gonna try my best.